NASA အာကာသစကန်မှာယာဒူးကြီးကြီးဂုံကြီးကြီးနဲ့အလုံးလုံးနေတဲ့မြန်မာလူမျိုးဒေါ်မီမီအောင် NASA မှာဘလို့အလုပ်ရသွားခဲ့လဲဒေါ်မီအောင်ကအင်္ဂါဂျိုပေါ်မှာပထမဆုံးရဟင်ပြန်လို့ရအောင်လုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့လူတမိုင်းဝင်တဲ့ project ကိုဦးဆောင်ခဲ့တဲ့သူပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီလိုမျိုးအရန်တော်တဲ့လူတစ်ယောက်က NASA မှာဘလို့အလုပ်ရသွားရဲဆိုတော့ကိုကျွန်တော်ပြောပြရင်ပေါ့သွားပါလိမ့်မယ်ဒါကြောင့်ဒေါ်မီအောင်ကိုယ်တိုင်ပြောတာကိုပဲနားထောင်ပေးပါ
Well, thank you for the introduction, and I'm excited and honored to be here at Harvard Radcliffe Institute today. Thank you for inviting me. I hope to share with you the story of a girl who traveled across the globe literally and took a journey into space exploration in STEM, share with you the incredible projects and experience that she can't believe like she's been a part of. And her journey is still continuing. And spoiler alert, that girl is me all grown up. So, starting from the beginning, I was born at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, while my parents were foreign students doing their PhDs there from Myanmar. In fact, my mother was the first woman from her country to get a PhD in mathematics from an American university. So, yeah. And when they finished their PhD, they went back to their home country. They took me back. I was about 2 years old there. So I grew up in Burma. That was my formative years. I grew up in the culture. My education was set there. My love for school and my love for mathematics all started in the Burmese education system. And in fact, I still do my multiplication tables in Burmese today. So when I was about 11 years old, we moved to Malaysia, and there I was sent to British international schools there, and there I got to meet friends from countries around the world, many cultures, many languages, and I love seeing the world. I really love seeing the world, so to speak. And through all those changes and moves, one thing that I found stability was continued education. I continued to love school, continued to build my education, continued to love math. And back in those days, just like a lot of people who can see the stars, I was fascinated with space, the question of, is there life elsewhere? Are we alone? But I was living in countries that don't have space programs, so I really didn't dream that I would ever have an opportunity to be a part of space exploration. I continued to do well in school, and when I turned 16, my parents decided to send me back to the US to continue further education. So I was the only one in the family that could come back to the US at that time because I was a US-born citizen. So they put me on a plane to live with their best man from their wedding, Walt, and his wife. This was 1983. There was no internet, no digital cameras. I didn't know what Walt and Ann looked like at that time, but they told me they were going to pick me up in the US. So there's a picture of my family seeing me off, the one suitcase. My sister is there with me, and a big question mark on the right side on what future holds. Well, I arrived in Blue Mountain, Illinois, and to my parents then, time is money, there is no time to waste, so they sent me straight into senior year. So I was a senior high schooler in a new country, staying with my parents' friends, really grateful to them. And new culture, new school, new accents. By the way, when I went into that school, I had a very strong British accent, which disappeared within days. I quickly assimilated, and I had a fantastic high school year. And I graduated, and at 17 years old, I was back at University of Illinois, where I was born, this time as a freshman. I wanted to major in math. My parents said no. They insisted that I majored in degree with application, so I picked engineering. Well, they worried that engineering is a male-dominated field, glass ceiling, et cetera, and that part I decided to not listen to, and I pursued my heart and pursued electrical engineering, and I fell in love with signal processing communications, which had a lot of math. Then I graduated, got my bachelor's and master's degree from Illinois in electrical engineering, and then started looking for a job. At that time, one of the professors mentioned to me about a place called NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, out in California. He said they run the deep space network, that tracks really weak signals coming back from deep space satellites. They use these low noise amplifiers and, to amplify the signals. You should think about it. And voila, right there, that old dream of deep space exploration. I all of a sudden realized, oh my gosh, I'm in a position to pursue this job. I have a chance. And I wholeheartedly went after getting an interview. And I got the interview. So I flew over to Pasadena, California, and I remember driving down Oak Grove Drive like yesterday. And I couldn't believe I was driving into JPL. And as you can imagine, I was insanely excited about talking to everybody there. And there were so many things that I realized, like, I could do this, I could do that, for all the education that I had racked up. It was just realization. And happy to report, I did get a job offer, and I started working there. And that was 1990, I walked in. And at JPL, I did one project after another, different projects, different line management. Next thing I knew, I'd been there for 30 years. So I kind of meant it when I say, follow your heart.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါဒါကတော့အရန်ကိုတန်မိုးရှိတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတွေပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်လို့အပြည့်အစုံလိုချင်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျွန်တော်ထပ်ပြီးတော့ဘာသာပြန်ပေးပါမယ်ဗျအားလုံးကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်